2021, was her condition similar in that regard?
Yes.
Back in June of 2021, was Mr. Randolph suffering any health issues?
Mr. Randolph was really sick. He had lots of different things wrong with him, and I think that his days were coming close to an end.
In the days leading up to Paul and Maggie's death, had the family received some not encouraging news about Mr. Randolph's prognosis?
Correct. I think that they felt like everything had been done for him that could be done. And I'm not sure Mr. Randolph wanted anything else done to him either. It had been a long road for him.
Backing up a little bit, the family, Alec and Maggie's family, properties, did they have a house in Hampton at one time?
They did. They built that house.
Okay. And did they have a beach house?
They did.
And where was that?
At Stowe.
And when did they get the beach house roughly? Do you recall?
Oh gosh. I really don't know. They've had it for a long time. 15. I really don't know. I'm sorry.
And what about Moselle? They had that property as well?
Yes, Moselle was their most recent property, and it was kind of a hunting plantation type place. Great setup for hunting everything, and lots of beds for Alec to have men come out and have hunts, and not Maggie's favorite place to be, but the boys loved it.
Sure. And in the summertime, where did Maggie typically prefer to be? At a Stowe?
She loved the beach, yes.
Are you familiar with what people refer to as the boat crash?
I am.
And to your general recollection, that happened around February of 2019?
Correct.
After the boat crash, did the family, and particularly Maggie, feel like what she felt some sort of backlash in the community or some sort of negative reaction that bothered her?
She did. That was a devastating blow for their family. It was a horrible accident, but it was an accident. And Maggie felt like the Hampton community had turned against her. And Paul was being mistreated. People would say mean things to him, call him names, social media, inappropriate things were said to him. Inappropriate things were said to him when he went back to school. And it was very hard on the family. It was very stressful.
Is that also part of the reason that Maggie preferred staying in Edisto?
I think so, yes.
During this time period, did Maggie start looking for a house somewhere else?
She did. They sold their Hampton house, and she was looking in the Hilton Head, Bluffton area for something. She had been looking in that area for a while.
Okay. Did she find anything she liked?
She did. She found one house that she just loved, and she called me and my parents to come down and take a look at it. And I believe Alec was there too. And she really thought that they might make an offer on that house, but in the end they did not. I think Alec advised her that the timing was just not right with the boat case going on.
The boat case going on? So we move closer to June 7th of 2021. I believe you testified that the family had received some bad prognosis on Mr. Randolph, is that correct?
Yes. Maggie called me that day and said she was at Edisto. She had some men working on the house, and Mr. Randolph was not doing well at all, and Alec really wanted her to come home that night. She hadn't planned on it, but that he needed her to come home, and Paul was going to be there too. And I said, well, Maggie, I said, you know, Alec and his dad are super close, and that's probably what you should do. Go be with him if he needs you.
She said that Alec wanted her to come home that night?
Yes.
And what was your understanding of Maggie's intent or what they were going to do that night?
I was under the impression they were going over to Alameda to visit his parents.
And that's why Alec wanted Maggie to come home?
Correct.
And that was from your conversation with her?
Yes.
She called you to let you know that that's what Alec had called her about?
Yes.
You said she was having some work done at Edisto on June 7th?
Yes, just maintenance work, getting it ready for the summer.
Urged her to go to Moselle.
I did.
Was that the last time you talked to her?
Yes. Thank you.
You all right? You remember about what time of day that was?
I think it was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think Maggie loved to call me when she was driving. She was always driving from, Moselle to Edisto to Charleston. And I think it was around 4 that afternoon.
What was the rest of your day like? Just a normal day?
Just a normal day.
Did you go to bed that evening?
Actually, we were not in bed. We were watching a movie. It was just Bart and me at home that night.
Bart, your husband? Tell me how you found out.
John, I didn't even realize this was going on. We were watching a movie, and Bart had gotten up to, I thought, go into the kitchen, and he had a text from John Marvin saying that a text from Randy saying that there had been a tragedy, and could Bart please call him on his cell phone. He had called on Alec's cell phone, but wanted Bart to call him back on his cell phone.
So what happened?
So Bart went outside and called him. So I still didn't know anything was going on, and told him that Maggie and Paul had been shot. They were dead.
What was your reaction?
I just couldn't believe it. I didn't think it was true. I said, there has to be a mistake. I said, there's got to be some explanation. It just can't be them.
What did y'all do after that?
We gathered up our things, and we went to tell my parents. And
Where do they live?
they live in Somerville. And my mom had just had knee replacement surgery. So when we got to Somerville, I called and I said, Mom, we're on the way, and we've got some bad news to share, but I want to be with you. And so she was sitting in her recliner chair with her leg all bundled up, and so we got there, and both of my parents were there, and I think my mom went into shock. She couldn't be still, and she just kept making these noises, and it was just the worst.
go to Moselle at any point?
We pretty much stayed with my parents all night. We went back home, showered, and then we all went to Moselle the next morning.
Over the next few days, were y'all staying back in Somerville and going to Moselle, or what were you and your parents doing in Bart?
So we had family coming in from Kentucky, and some of them were staying with me, some of them were staying with my parents, but we were in Moselle every day. We were planning the funeral, we were in Moselle every day after that until the funeral.
Did that shock of finding out last for a while?
I'm sorry?
Did that shock of finding out last for a while?
It's still hard to face.
When you got to Moselle, did you see Alec, the defendant?
I did.
Did y'all hug?
We did.
Cry?
We did.
Over the course of the next couple of days, or in the aftermath, as the shock was wearing off just a little bit, did you have any conversation with Alec about what had happened?
I didn't talk to Alec a lot. Alec was just really busy, and the whole town was coming to see him, and he was very, very, very torn up. I did at one point ask him if Maggie had suffered, and he assured me that she did not. Now, I don't know that I think that's true. And I asked if Paul had suffered, and he said no. And then later I asked him, I said, Alec, do you have any idea who's done this? I said, we have got to find out who could do this. And he said that he did not know who it was, but he felt like whoever did it had thought about it for a really long time.
Whoever had done it had thought about it for a really long time. Did that strike you as odd?
I just didn't know what that meant.
Were you ever privy or have any discussion with anything Alex said about whether or not he went to the kennels that night?
I personally did not talk to him about that, but he told my mom that he had dinner with Maggie and Paul, and then he took a nap, which he did. That was kind of a routine. He would lay down on the sofa at night after work and take a nap.
But he said he never went to the kennels.
Correct.